You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Bears beat the Titans 24-17. Rookie quarterback Caleb Williams, the only rookie starter whose team won. Broncos lose to the Seahawks 26-20. Commanders fall to the Buccaneers 37-20.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning and welcome into a Monday edition of Inside the Locker Room. 205-342-9904 is the phone number if you want to jump in on with us this morning and discuss any football over the weekend. I was wrong about South Carolina. You don't judge a team off of one game. I did, and they went into Kentucky and absolutely smacked those guys. So I don't know if Kentucky's that bad or South Carolina what they are, but game day, which is kind of weird to me, is going to Columbia, South Carolina this weekend as South Carolina takes on LSU at 11 o'clock. But I know y'all aren't turning on to listen about South Carolina. We'll talk Alabama football this morning. Before we get started, though, we want to tell you about Yellowwood, pressure-treated pine from Great Southern. They bring you this 7 o'clock hour. They do it each and every day. If it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, you certainly don't want it. You want to build the 5-star backyard, the fence, the deck, the pergola is only choice. That would be Yellowwood. Go to yellowwood.com to find a dealer that is closest to you. If you don't want to call us, you can download the app. Send us an app message right there on the Tide 100.9 app. It's a great app. Get it on your smartphone. You can also email us if you want to email. I got some emails Saturday night from disgruntled fans. You Alabama fans are absolutely ridiculous. I really hope that the coaching staff does not give up on the players like the fans do. They just give up on a kid, or give up on a position and talk about them transferring this, that, and the other. I hope our coaches, which I know they don't give up on kids like you guys do. It's embarrassing. Good morning, Dad. How are you this morning?
I'm doing okay. I apologize for losing on the blue plate again. I've had a really good record down through the years, but I've struggled these first games, and hopefully we'll do better. I think the one thing you need to remember that, and I'll get off of that, is that when I give a blue plate, if you think it's a wrong, and Nick Saban, on both the games I picked, Nick Saban picked the same way, but if you think you don't like that, then you go opposite of what I say. I'm not doing that for you to do what I say. You can go opposite of what I say if you feel like I made a mistake, and I certainly made one, or the Auburn football team made one, whatever you want to say. As far as the Alabama football game was concerned, certainly the game was much closer than the score indicated. If you're a person that just picks up the paper and looks at the score, you think Alabama blew them out. But as most of you know who saw the game, and I was fortunate enough that my grandson worked it out for me to get on for that game. I didn't get to see the Auburn game. But what happens to you is this. When you turn it over and you have penalties and turnovers, both, it's very, very difficult to have any kind of momentum, any kind of good stuff going for you on a consistent basis with those many problems with the turnovers and some of the penalties that they had. So that's got to be corrected. Now, the question I had since I very first started, how do you handle that? And here's the way I think that staff handles it. They handled it so much behind the scenes. You do not see the blood coming to the top of their heads. They're mad about this, or throwing this, or doing that. It's a different group than Coach had. So I think they hide it behind the scenes and try to correct it behind the scenes. I'm sure they do, and so it's not brought out like you want to bring it out as a fan that's disgruntled over a win is a win is a win, and what you try to do is turn the page on that and get started on the next game. Now, here's where we are. and I'll say this every weekend that we have games, and now we've been through 2. Texas, Georgia, and Tennessee probably. And this is my estimation. You can call in and correct me. You don't have to correct me, but you can. Texas, Georgia, and Tennessee, I think, are the best based on who they played. I think they're 2 or 3 maybes. I think Alabama's a maybe. I think Ole Miss is a maybe. Maybe they're higher than that, but I think they're a maybe. And I think Missouri is a maybe. Disappointments. The disappointments would be Auburn. And actually, I think some of the disappointments would be Oklahoma in a 2-point win versus Houston. The surprise team in the league thus far is just what Barry said. Is South Carolina going in there? Quarterback who moved there from Georgia didn't play a lick. Wasn't surrounded by good players. South Carolina. I thought they played hard and very, very good defensively. And LSU getting beat was maybe no surprise. So we're sitting here now, starting with week number 3, and I would say that Texas, Georgia, and Tennessee are the best. You probably would disagree and say Ole Miss is in there, and so you can if you wish. I didn't, and we'll see what happens there. Now, as Barry's mentioned, the game with South Carolina. And I tell you one thing you can't do, and I'm a loser telling you what you shouldn't do. Is you have to be very careful on gambling and look at past scores this early. So-and-so beat so-and-so, so I think so-and-so is going to beat so-and-so. For example, South Carolina is playing at home, but nobody can tell you more than Barry about how good South Carolina is at home, and they get 7, which is against LSU. So you never know on a collegiate level. On a level outside the SEC, the Nebraska-Colorado game was a game Barry and I'll talk about. Oregon struggled both. They got Boise State. They got by Boise State. They haven't played very well. Tom Osborne was the coach at Nebraska when I was growing up, and a terrific coach. So we welcome your calls. Doug will be on, and Max will be on at 7:30. I'm sure Barry has a lot of things he needs to say, so I'll hush.
Well, there's, you go back to last year, and Alabama had a tough time with South Florida. I think this is a 2-for-1, so I think they actually play again next year. But they couldn't block them last year. You fast when we talked about the quarterback.
Miniature Tennessee, Barry.
You talked about the quarterback, this, that, and the other. Then this year, I hear these people calling with these scores, Alabama 50-something to 3 and this, that, and the other. And then you come to find out you couldn't block them again. And so sometimes there's certain teams that you just don't match up well against for whatever reason. And I think probably what happened last year, South Florida came in here confident. If their quarterback could throw the deep ball, Alabama would have been in trouble. Those guys were running wide open.
Yeah, they played down there last year. But I'll say this, Barry, and I meant to open up with his words. It was a miniature Tennessee. They like to play fast. They like to throw it. The offensive and defensive coordinators. Offensive coordinator worked at Tennessee. So exactly what it was. It's a miniature Tennessee without the kind of players Tennessee has.
Yeah. So, but to just get down and people, well, they're making NIL money. So, but these people they get on social media. They hide behind a keyboard and they just trash these kids. You trash local kids that are busting their tail. Just because they're getting a little bit of NIL money does not give you the right to get personal against these guys. Let these coaches coach them. You looked at South Carolina. I follow a lot of guys that follow the Gamecocks. They had given up on them. As I talked about, I didn't think they were very good after week 1, and then boom, they go to Kentucky. And they absolutely destroy the Kentucky Wildcats. So, all right, you guys want to dial in? We got a call or two coming in. We'll take the breaks so we don't cut those short. We'll take your phone calls. All right, 205-342-9904. We want to thank 2 Minute Truck. They're out there at 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you go pick up your boxes, your packing supplies, whatever you need to make this a smooth. Whether it's local, out of town, out of state, no problem. Let the professionals handle it. They'll take great care of you and your stuff. 205-247-5050. It's 2 Men in a Truck. Movers who care.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
From the Town Square Media Tuscaloosa newsroom, these are your Monday morning headlines. Potential Tropical Cyclone 6 is expected to become Hurricane Francine when it makes landfall near Morgan City, Louisiana late Wednesday. West Alabama could see up to 3 inches of rain, isolated tornadoes, and 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts later this week as a result. Saban Field was officially dedicated at Bryant-Denny Stadium Saturday. The Tide also defeated USF 42-16 and remain at number 4 in the AP poll. They'll head to Wisconsin Saturday to take on the Badgers in Madison. For more information on these stories and the latest news in West Alabama, visit TuscaloosaThread.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Looking good for the area right now. So far, we're not dealing with any major hiccups. I'm taking a look at Lurleen Wallace here, traveling on the north and southbound lanes to McFarland Boulevard. McFarland, east and westbound at Lurleen Wallace, just beautiful. We're also looking good.
National nonprofit offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance.
Or Town Square Media Tuscaloosa radio websites. Fill out the Advertise Here form. Put the power of Town Square Media to work for your business.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A big warm up today with a sunny sky, the high 88. Clear tonight, the low 64. Tomorrow sunny with a high at 89. Wednesday increasingly cloudy. Rain moving in by Wednesday night. The high Wednesday at 84. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. Your
home for Alabama Crimson Tide football. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
I don't hear anything. We back? All right, I guess we're back. Didn't hear anything coming back there. All right, pressure treated pine from Great Southern. If it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, you don't want to get to the Yellowwood Highline. Get Philip in. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, guys.
Now, Philip.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You're a great caller. Your first call was they were going to lose 3 games. Your second call, they were going to go undefeated. I'm asking you to hear about this third call because you do a good job.
Philip's on, you're on a roller coaster right now, Philip.
I didn't say that. I said they're going to be a tough out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think Alabama is going to be a tough out, and I think the line's going to improve. You got Proctor out. You had Elijah Pritchett banged up. You got Vandermark in the game. You got Brailsford. A pretty new assortment of guys out there. That line, it was the same problem last year, and they got better. It's just going to be the way it is, and I think they'll get better, and I'm not down on them. I mean, let me tell you, South Florida was a good football team.
Yeah, you said they were before that. About 3 weeks ago.
They're a good football team.
They're miniature Tennessee.
That's exactly right, and that was a wonderful. I love the way you said that a minute ago, and that's a great statement and very descriptive. And if you follow it, you nailed it. And but they ran a very high-paced offense. They were getting to the line of scrimmage in no time flat, and they were getting ready to run the next play, and they were running it. And they were an effective team. That's a very physical quarterback. He can run the ball. He's not the greatest passer in the world, thank God, but he was very good, and they were a stout team, and they were loading up that line of scrimmage, and they were coming after Milroe because we seemed to be a little bit intent on throwing the home run pass.
I mean, all we do is. But every other play, they just chuck it deep to Hollywood. I mean, it's almost like backyard football.
Barry, for you and Philip, tell our listeners and tell me how the kid got hurt at practice. I never have understood that.
It wasn't practice.
Okay, what was
You're talking about Proctor. He got hurt in warm-ups. They hadn't said how. He just hurt his shoulder in warm-ups.
Okay.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
That's all that's all I heard, too. Who knows? I don't know what that's all about. I got an opinion on it. But anyway.
Me too.
And we may match. We'll talk about one of these days off there. But anyway, that's right. Well, it may have something to do with Iowa. But anyway, Alabama survives to live another week, and that's what it's all about. I thought the defense stood tall. When they had to, they were on the field a lot. Mbakwe sparked the Tide win with that punt return. That was huge. Rain in Madison, Wisconsin, Saturday morning. The Saturday was an amazing day at the University of Alabama. The ceremony was great. I got wedged my way in there a little bit and watched that. And then the halftime ceremony was outstanding. The signage is regal and grand and beautiful and kind of what I was expecting, and that's the name of it now. Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. That's going to be the thing.
Tell me why. Barry told me last night, because he does a better job than I do keeping up with it, that Alabama could be a 15.5-point favorite.
That's high, man, Coach Sampson. To me, that quarterback is probably not as mobile.
Yeah, I think it's when Alabama plays those Big Ten teams that, and I don't know that Wisconsin's not fast, but normally if they're slow-footed, then Alabama crushes teams like that. If they're slow-footed, I don't know if they're slow. If they got slow feet and they're just powerful and big, I think Alabama normally handles teams like that, don't they, Phillip?
Well, true, and I think the Wisconsin quarterback's a good quarterback. I just don't think he's got the running ability and the mobility that Brown had the other night. Now, he may go out there and play lights out Saturday night and look like Johnny Manziel out there running around, but I think he is a guy that matches up, that we can match up with pretty well. Brown was a tough runner. That guy's tough, and he can move, and I think it's going to be a while before we play another quarterback quite like him. He's tough.
Phil, you intrigued me on, and I don't want to make you say something you don't want to. You think there may be an eligibility issue with Proctor that they found out right before the game, and all of a sudden now they're saying it's an injury from something, maybe from hours or something that Iowa? You kind of intrigued me now on that. He doesn't look hurt on the sideline over there. And they're very elusive. When you ask Coach about that injury, you have to ask him 3 times before he'll answer it.
That's the reason I asked you the question. I smell a rat.
Yeah, I think something might be up there, Phil.
Well, that's good deduction. Good deduction.
Phillip, tell me this, Phillip. When those penalties, no, they were on everybody, and those turnovers and all occurred with Coach Saban there would have been he had an outwardly one in his box up there with his wife. But I could see that. He was mad as crowd. But they hold theirs inside and get on to them quietly. Is that kind of interesting to you?
It is. It's a totally different way of life over there right now. And but Alabama needed that. They didn't need for the coaching staff to be losing their stuff the other night on the sideline. So I credit DeBoer for being stone faced and being in control because our team needs that right now. Our team needs that. It's going to be a tough season. There's going to be some very tough games for Alabama to win starting Saturday. And then after that, man, it gets even tougher. You look at Auburn's schedule now. I thought 2 weeks ago Auburn would be 5-0 going into the Oklahoma game. Going into the Georgia game. I'm not sure now if Auburn's going to be 2-3.
I got embarrassed on that one.
Yeah, they'll win this weekend, but after that, Arkansas looked good.
They better score some points. They better score some points this weekend.
Barry's right. Arkansas should have lost. I got that game. Arkansas should have won that game.
They played well. We'll see if they keep it up.
I can tell you this about New Mexico. New Mexico can score on Auburn's defense.
We'll see. Thank you, Philip.
Thanks, Philip.
Yep.
All right, back up to the Yellowwood hotline. Get Joe in. Good morning, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Morning, coaches. Wimp, I agree with your assessment of the conference. Tennessee, Texas, and Georgia. And
good.
That was hard to pick. Those three teams were good.
Somebody else would have picked Ole Miss.
Woo.
Hey, I'm going to tell you, that Tennessee quarterback, if he stays healthy, he is the best quarterback in the SEC. Hey, that kid's an athlete. He's 6'6". Did you see him when he ran the touchdown wheel? Nobody touched him, right up the middle.
No, I did not see that. I did not see that game.
He is a lot faster than you think he is, too. And the line this week, Barry, you nailed it. It's mismatches. They're slow of foot. You know what we can do. Our speed will be just, that'll be the difference in the game this weekend. But we're talking about 6 out of 7 at the top AP, but we're not talking about our terrible losses we've got in the conference with Auburn at the top of that. And then you got, A&M should have beat Notre Dame. We know now. But
you don't have A&M Florida, one of those dismissed after this next game. Florida's 4-point favorite. But the loser of that game's out.
Yeah, and then State went out and got beat by Arizona State. I thought they might win that game, but they didn't. And, but anyway, it is what it is. And I know we don't have much time. I'm looking forward to seeing what Max got to say. But, we were a lot better Saturday night than we were last year. There's no comparison. And you're right, a win is a win. And just look how bad it was last year as compared to this year.
Hard to blue plate this week. It's hard to blue plate this week, too. Oh, it is. I looked at them.
But hey, look, Will, think about this. No, I'm not going to say that because I'm at A&M debacle. Let me just say this. Bill O'Brien is a good college football coach.
16.5 points.
He's got Missouri at Missouri. And Missouri is
good on defense.
Yeah. So, Wimp, you took up for that guy at Alabama more than anybody. You were right, and everybody saw it last year. Well, what we had last year compared to what we had with him. And, I'm just saying I think Boston College may even beat Missouri this week. But now, I shouldn't even say that to you.
Well, Missouri is so good defensively, Joe. They're really, really sound defensively, and that's what makes me wonder about the game. Barry, what do you think?
Well, think about this. That coach is with LSU now. Look what LSU's done give up in 2 games already. and Missouri...
He went to LSU from Missouri, didn't he?
That's right. And Missouri don't play anybody. Well, they have not played nobody. Yeah. And watch him, Barry. He'll take them, and I'll be. Oh gosh.
No, I don't know who I'm going to take. I got to get some help.
Will Peyton Thorne start this weekend?
I don't know what Hugh Freeze.
I didn't get to see the game.
He threw 4 interceptions.
I cannot figure that. I cannot figure that out. And the more I see of Hugh Freeze, I just think about we gave him 5 turnovers, and he still just beat us a touchdown when he beat us. He got more mileage out of those 2 wins over Saban. And what is Saban doing, picking Auburn and bragging on Auburn? He is awful. Did you win your blue plate this week?
No, he picked Auburn minus 13.
Oh my God!
Yeah, he picked Auburn.
That's worse than A&M.
He went over 2. I went over 2.
Yeah, that's a paper plate, Joe. They ain't a blue plate.
Yeah, they own me pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get ridiculed all night for it. I'm like, guys, I didn't make the pick. People just destroy me about his picks. Gosh, I hope he hits one. I'm glad I don't have to pay for defending him on text. I try to defend him, but God, it's getting tough.
Gosh, that makes me feel so much better about A&M.
Yeah. Why is game day going to Columbia, South Carolina this weekend? That's the best game?
Wimp's buddy has done an awful job with the scheduling. When you got Missouri and Boston College in that game that you're going to for your headliners in the SEC, because they can't do us because of Fox, it is awful. He's got to get some better games the second and third weeks of the season. And then we start playing, everybody plays everybody, and you got all the great games at the same time. You can't watch them all.
Joe, by the way, before I get off of here, the games with big scores, I haven't missed yet. I picked LSU. I picked.
You didn't. You just mentioned them. You didn't pick them.
I didn't pick them, but I got Louisville. I won that one, and then I had last week I had Tennessee won that one. So I'm a genius on big scores.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got to get to Max. Thank you, Joe.
All right, man. Thank y'all.
All right, we'll get to Max Howell. We'll get his take on all this. Y'all really went on a limb. Ooh, Georgia, Tennessee, and who'd y'all say? Missouri are good. And Texas. I told y'all Texas was going to Atlanta, and everybody got mad. Texas. Sark and Kirby are two best coaches in college football. Period. It's a Tide 100. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Looking good for the area right now. So far, we're not dealing with any major hiccups. I'm taking a look at Lurleen Wallace here, traveling on the north and southbound lanes to McFarland Boulevard. McFarland, east and westbound at Lurleen Wallace, just beautiful. We're also looking...
Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
Two-time state champion and two-time NIT champion, Barry Sanderson breaks down the latest in sports on Inside the Locker Room on Tide 100.9.
That ain't it. I'll have to fact check you. Max is running. That ain't it. All right. Pastor Tina Pound from Great Southern.
I apologize.
If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it.
Day in the morning. But
Max might have hung up.
Good grief. Max, I apologize. We told you last week.
Yeah,
you guys asked me last week, and I sent you.
Well, we made it clear.
Yeah, well, that ain't his fault. There's several different versions. I remember last year we had it wrong too, but we keep changing. Producers don't like us, Max. They leave. So
I believe that's the truth. I think that's. Yeah, guys, that's the day's youth, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't nail them down. I'm telling you, it's hard.
And he's actually a Mississippi State student, too, so you think he could be able to do that. But it's Jay. No, he does a great job. That's my fault.
I'm not going to let him work on sound, my dog.
I should have went in there and listened before I had him play that. But anyway, what's done is done. Max, just your thoughts on what you saw over the weekend.
Just a couple of things. One, I thought Tennessee played as well as I saw the whole weekend. Tell you the truth, Texas was good as they should because they were motivated to play. But I really thought Tennessee took a huge jump. And I think the worst team I saw all weekend was Kentucky. I don't know what's happened to those guys. Whoever's running their offense up there, I counted 5 penalties they had, guys, in that ball game with South Carolina for illegal procedure, illegal formation. That means the kids, they had more people in the backfield than they did on the line. It was just a mess. And I think Alabama finally got it together. I know they had some injuries, but not real sure. And I know this happens a lot in the football world. They were probably looking a little forward to Wisconsin. And I'm not real sure they hadn't got Georgia on their mind also already. But I think Alabama's going to come through. They certainly moved up in the poll, and I think Ole Miss and Missouri played about where everybody expects them to be right now. So I think Georgia's still the team to beat when it comes along. Texas did what they had to do. They went to Michigan and won that big one for them up there. So I think the preseason's over now. The real season starts this third weekend, as it usually does in every season. So I'll be anxious to see how they all show. I'm another team that kind of surprised them, and I know they came in the league, but Missouri, I don't know how about you guys, but I have a hard time remembering Missouri plays in the SEC because we don't get very little information down here about them. But they got a pretty good football team. as well. So the SEC is going to maintain their positions in the polls, and I think rightly so.
Yeah.
Are you a little bit surprised that South Carolina gets 7 points at home against LSU, or is that about just off base there?
No, I think we're looking historically, Coach. And I watched that South Carolina-Kentucky game.
I did too.
They played well enough to win, and I think a lot of it had
defensively.
They did, but I also think Kentucky helped them. Kentucky made so many mistakes in that ball game. I just hope they can get it. They just don't look consistent enough to me yet. For some reason, they aren't a smooth football team. And in this league, you got to play. You guys know it. You got to play your top game every week. If you're not, you're gonna get upset, or you're gonna drop in the polls because you may win. You may be favored by 7 and win by 1, or lose.
Will the head-to-heads have a big factor? For example, I've said, and Barry, agrees, I guess, that Texas and Georgia are the 2 best teams in the league, but they got to play each other.
Right.
Last time I looked, one of them was going to lose.
Exactly right.
Does that affect the 12-team roster?
I think overall it will, Coach, because the one-loss record will be, it'll have a say on it. But you remember last year that's what elevated them when they beat Alabama. They came into Tuscaloosa and beat them, and then all of a sudden everybody in the country said, "Hey, Sarkisian's got this team on the right path." So sure, when those two play, when we talk about how tough the Florida schedule is, Georgia's kind of pretty good with themselves. They have stepped up. I know the league had a lot to do with it, but they've stepped up in their scheduling. And I think, they knew they were going to be pretty good this year, and the people in the SEC office knew, and I think we in for some really, really good football, really from here on every Saturday.
We're talking Max Howell. Max, is a game like Saturday, that probably helps the coaching staff at Alabama. If you go out there and just blow out South Florida, you're going up to Wisconsin, you're not listening to your coaches quite as much, but when your position group struggles, you're a little more coachable, I think, at that point. And I think they struggled in several different areas. Fumbling the football, but coach says, hey, we don't have to put any more emphasis on it. We emphasize it every Tuesday. We were emphasizing it. Sometimes those things happen, but sometimes those end up scoring 28 points in the fourth quarter. The game was a lot closer than obviously the score indicates, but these coaches will get back. These players will, these guys got pride. They'll get in those position rooms and they'll be coachable now, right? Based on what happened Saturday night.
Yeah, I don't think, and the coaches will use that. I mean, and they should. You play around for 2 or 3 quarters like they did against South Florida against a good football team. You won't be able to put 28 in the last quarter. You'll be so far behind. You just, you can't do that. But I think, sure, you have to, but from a coach's standpoint, Barry, you've got to use, particularly now with the SEC, and we talk about Alabama, you've got to use everything you can get every week. And the schedule, used to, you could kind of look forward ahead, look a little ahead during practice. And of course, they got a week off before they play Georgia, but they got to go to Wisconsin, and that's a loud place to play. Alabama should go up there and win the football game, but I thought they'd have won probably by 20 or 30 against South Florida as well. And I read some reports about, hey, South Florida's always been there. Look, that don't matter. I mean, when you got to play a football team, they didn't just walk in practice this week and look at South Florida one time. They've had records of them on record for the last 2 or 3 years. They know what kind of system they run. So there's no reason for it. And I know Alabama had some injuries on the front. I know that. But the fact is, there's a lot of difference between the talent level at a school like South Florida there is at Alabama. And you can't, psychologically, you can't let the kids rely on that just because we're better and because we've had great teams here before. This is another ball game. You've got to go in there and play hard every week. And you got to work on your depth. And I think Alabama had the chance because of injuries. But the coaching staff will use that ball game. And I'm sure they looked at that tape yesterday and broke that down for them because they got to start getting ready for Wisconsin this morning.
Yeah. If you're Auburn, obviously, Peyton Thorne did not play well in the game, and maybe Hugh Freeze, he's calling the plays. I don't know who he's going to blame now, but they got New Mexico, and then I think they got Arkansas and Oklahoma at home. So, I'm assuming this is Peyton Thorne's last year. What do you do? Do you stay with him, or do you say, you know what, we got to play for the future? Maybe it's too early to play for the future now, but he did not play that well. How do you handle that, Max? That whole situation.
I think from a coach's, I think it's a little early to start trying to change them.
Okay.
The problem is they should have brought somebody else in.
Yeah.
The kid just don't tell me. You go out there and throw four picks, I believe.
Yeah.
You can't go out there on Saturday and throw. That's something during the week is not working right either. A kid can't go and have a great week of practice and go out there on Saturday and have a poor ball game. That doesn't match. So that something is, and maybe they saw that, maybe they know that already about him. But now they look back, and I think Coach Freeze probably should have brought in another quarterback or two. To blow that, but you can't change right now. You might change. You may try to become a more conservative ball team. And against New Mexico, they can run the ball. I'm pretty sure, and I'm not sure. I wouldn't work on both my passing game and run, but I would to win the game. I would do what I had to do coming up, and then hope he gets a little bit better. If he doesn't, they played poor. I mean, I don't think they played bad as Kentucky did, but they played not a very good football game.
Yeah.
This is a coaching question. When Barry worked for me, I think Barry thought that I probably at times fussed too much and raised too much cane. He never told me that. No, I'm not trying to ask him. My question is, their discipline or they're being disgusted. Nick Saban looked more disgusted up there sitting by his wife with what was going on than the coaches did. Is that the best way to just go with your person to get them into? I mean, there wasn't any grumbling, grabbing, or anything like that. I know that's a coaching difference, but is that okay?
Well, Coach, I think everybody has to adjust to those coaches' personality.
Yeah.
You were a completely different guy than 99% of the coaches when you coached.
Yeah.
And you dressed different, you acted different, you coached different, but you won. And I think all of us have played. When we get to a good situation, you can win with different philosophies about that. But I think if you're the head guy and you're dictating that philosophy, then everybody around you's got to go with it. If they go, if you're going to win, you got to be unified. So that question, I think you have to look at the question and say, hey, Coach Saban did it the way he knew how to do it. The boy was trying to do it the way he knows how to do it.
I figured that was the answer, but I wanted you to say it. I wasn't sure. Yeah, I thought that was it. Yeah. Go ahead, Barry.
When I watch Coach on game day, I think those guys there with him do a great job of, recognizing what he did. They were very complimentary of him having the field named after him. And you can see now Coach was always in grind mode when he was coaching. He never seemed to really enjoy the wins at all because it was the next game. Now you watch him walk out that tunnel. I think he's taking it all in. I think he's really enjoying it. He's appreciating what people are doing for him. Those guys are kind of connecting with him on that set. I think Coach is finally smelling the roses a little bit, which he deserves, doesn't he?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I like him on game day.
I do too.
I think he brings such more balance to that thing. I'm not a big Pat McAfee fan, but I think he brings a stability to that group now from experience alone. And I do think everybody else on there recognizes that, because when they go down the list and have everybody comment, he's all about, just like he coached, he's all about facts. This is what this guy did. This is where the record is. This is who they got. Right down the line. The other guys kind of bounce around because even though a couple of them, played and did very well as a player, but none of the others have been on the field. In particular, none of them have done what he's been able to do coaching, but nobody else has either. But the fact I think he likes that, and I've heard him say in different interviews that that's part of his give back to the fans for how respectful they were because of what he did. But he's bringing that same concept on the verbal side, and I think it's really made a better game day approach to it. And I think ESPN knew that when they asked him to be on there.
Yeah, I think their ratings are way up with him.
I'm sure they are.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Alabama, and maybe they did this because of the situation of blocking with their guys hurt, needs to establish a run a little bit more than to swing it downfield? And I know they had problems with the offensive line, and that may have been the reason for it because I really don't even know how the guy got hurt. But it looks to me like most coaches I see try to establish a run game a little bit more. I'm never out. Sure. I can't coach them, so I don't know. Barry feels the same way, I think.
They kept just trying to throw the long pass to number 2 about every third play.
Well, I think too, though, guys. I think they were given something for Wisconsin to look at. Also, with Saturday they unveiled just a complete run offense. Yeah. Against that, and I think good coaches are able to do that. Yeah. And I think maybe they happen to be a little misled by, even though they were missing some guys on Alabama's offensive front, they may have not respected South Florida's defense enough. And thought maybe the secondary was weaker enough. But I don't know. Places I was, that we always kind of try to attack with a balanced offense and defense, and regardless of if we had a missing tackle or a guard or whatever, we plug somebody else in. That didn't change. That didn't change basically our concept about the way we're going to attack the defense. We may find a different area to attack it, but we're going to try to keep that thing balanced. Because once you start one thing, what in South Florida, they started rushing 3 and dropping 8, and using took the short pass away because they had 5 linebackers back there. And that's the way you defend that kind of stuff. But the fact is, coming up this week, they got to have a balanced start. It's going to be that game's going to be tougher than a lot of people think because they don't have the talent Alabama's got. Wisconsin doesn't. But that stadium is loud. I mean, it's like an SEC stadium, and I'm sure the coaching staff will know that. But the fact is, I think they need to go back to answer your question certainly. And you don't have to run the ball up the middle. You got all kind of stuff. You run past option, and I know they've been wanting Melrose to learn to stay in the pocket and all that stuff. But the guy's got great speed for a big kid as he is. I don't know why sometimes they don't got to get him out on the corner. And now you got maybe 1 or 2 guys you got to read off from. If the corner comes up, you throw it deep. If he stays back, you tuck it and run it. But anyway, I'm not coaching anymore. It's easy to sit back and watch, and pick it apart for them. And that's what we do, on Monday.
Yeah, I think they got called a little bit. Pritchett, they ended up playing him in the fourth quarter, but they didn't play him because they wanted to keep him healthy for the Wisconsin game. It almost bit them, to be quite honest with you. So, sometimes you save guys to try to get them healthy, and then all of a sudden you get into a street fight. And sometimes, Max, it's matchups, right? I mean, they didn't match up well against South Florida last year. Everybody wanted to put it on the other quarterback, but they didn't block them then as well. And so that gave South Florida some confidence coming in. And sometimes you just don't match up well against certain teams. Do you ever see that?
Absolutely, I do. But, I just happen to have a hard feeling about the way you prepare. And I know that it's not unusual when your level of play is already dictated. Alabama's up there and they've been there for years, and South Florida still plays at a different level week in and week out, even though they can step the game up. But you have a tendency to know they got to go on the road. They got to go to Wisconsin. They got an open date, and then they got Georgia, the biggest game of the year, basically, for them, is against Georgia. And I know that sometimes from a coaching standpoint, you have a tendency to want to start preparing early. You don't tell the kids that, but I've held the cards up for the scout team too many years, and I knew when I drew the cards up, I knew I was drawing up. For example, if I was going to prepare a little bit, I might draw the plays up that Wisconsin runs, and I put South Florida's name on the card, just so the kids would become familiar with that. That's not a sound principle, but it's a reality. That happens. because the coaches know that they can win that football game. May not look pretty, and that percentage certainly didn't look pretty for 3 quarters, but they won it, and it's behind them now. And they feel like once that's over, they got to step up on getting ready for Wisconsin.
The loser of the Florida A&M game will have a really hard. The coach will have a really hard time getting his guys to play the rest of the year. That'll be loss number 2 for one of those 2 teams, and
Absolutely.
it'll be a booger bear to try to get them ready to play with 2 losses and 7, 8 more games.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. Particularly, early 2 losses sometimes when they aren't back to back or in the middle of the season. That's one thing. You get them 2 losses up front early. Yeah, what happens? The kids get down on themselves.
Yes, they want to make it. Yeah,
right. And the reality is, you guys know you've been in the dressing room before. You're gonna have some start pointing fingers at each other or the coaching staff or whatever. Hey, this is not working for us like we thought. And that's the hardest kind of thing to try to overcome. Not so much getting them ready on the field, but getting them ready out of the dressing room.
Yeah, and Barry said, haven't watched the internet as good as he does, that, that people complain about NIL money. You gave them NIL money, they didn't do this, didn't do that. It's going to be around sticking it all the time.
If you were coaching today, and I know you can't monitor this, but I would encourage all my players to delete social media. If you look at that stuff, it'll drive you up a darn wall. I would have them all delete it off their phones and tell them not to look at it. Would you do the same?
Yeah, but you know what, Coach? That's the hardest thing. That's part of society today.
Yeah, I know.
So you got to work around that. I mean, certainly you can make your comments about it. You can talk to them, and you can even threaten them sometimes. But the reality is they're going to do that. That's just like telling you got someone on that squad. You can tell them, yeah, we're going to have bed check at 10:00 tonight, but by 11:30 somebody's going to slip out occasionally.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a fact. That's going to happen. So you got to understand that, and most coaches do. But handling it the way you handle it, I think, is a major thing. And you've got to sell that program good enough to know that certain weeks you can't have any distraction. And maybe I wouldn't take it away from them completely, but I'd say, all right, guys, we got Alabama's, like week after that, we got Georgia coming up. You better give every minute of every day. When you're not in class, you got to have every concentrated moment to get ready for this football game, because mainly they got better talent than we do. And they played well, and they had lost by 2 ball games in 3 years, and 2 of them to Alabama. So, I mean, it's a lot of things. It's a psychological game. I mean, it gets beyond the physical when it comes to a game like that.
It was a head scratcher for Nick Saban in his suite up there. I could tell. I don't know him like a book. He was a head scratcher for him. He didn't have anybody to talk to with Miss Terry, but he had a lot to say in his mind. I'm sure that's a fact. And maybe the next time we see him up, they may have friends come in and get somebody to talk to.
Yeah. Well, Max, tell everybody what you cooking this weekend. What's for supper?
Yeah.
Oh man, let me tell you. Of course, I don't know. Tuscaloosa is probably about the same. It's about 52 degrees over here this morning, so at least we're getting some. We get a cold front coming in. Bird season just came in on the 1st of September over here. I went to dinner with some folks last night, and we got one group that killed about 40 dove. So we're gonna have dove breast wrapped in bacon. Do it on the grill. We'll have a couple of different sides. Probably corn on the cob with it, and a salad, something. But of course, then we're gonna get into that dessert tray, and we'll start off. This is the first time we cooked this year. We'll start off with that Mississippi mud pie, and it's a 4-layer cake with chocolate and pecans between every layer. And guys, if that that'll make you want to slap your mama. I'm gonna tell you.
Chocolate and pecans, but my heavens, they ain't malls.
All right, Max. Well, it must not be a great weekend of football. Game day is going to Columbia, South Carolina for South Carolina and LSU. So,
yep.
Were you proud of Mississippi State's offense? They scored 23 points.
They did, and they didn't get it to the end. I mean, it was they were down. They were down 20, I guess, at halftime. I didn't know that. Oh, yeah, they were down bad at halftime, but they came back. I fell asleep in the first quarter, but I woke back up about about 12, and it was a little past half, and I watched the rest of it. But, yeah. But listen, Coach, over here, Mississippi State fans, they understand the new coaching staff and all, but they say literally, for man, they got the best roster they've had over in 20 years. They got some really good young kids.
Great.
That's exactly right. We're talking about the players, the young players they got coming. I've heard anywhere from 8 to 10 NFL prospects already. So they got to coach them up, and they got to make them believe. And Ole Miss is having a great year. You know what kind of rivalry that is. And all the print in the state's all about Ole Miss, and I think rightly so right now. But Mississippi State just watched them quietly. Going into the season, I think if everybody over here thought if they got 6-6, they'd be lucky. I think they'd get 7 or 8 wins. I really do.
Do you really?
Yep.
I'm hunting a blue plate.
He needs a blue plate, Max. If you figure out one this week, send it to him.
I'm getting killed.
And here's what happens, Max. He picks it and doesn't hit it, and I get killed like on Saturday about like, guys, I didn't pick it. I just said, well, bet against it. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
They blast Barry when I make a mistake, and I made one.
There's a guy on Twitter complaining about another show he does that he won't pick it at the right time. So I don't know. People are mad about his blue plate this year.
Barry, you got it. I mean, look, he's been your dad a long time, and he's going to stay your dad, so you just got to live with it.
There you go. Thank you, Max.
Thanks, Max.
All right, guys. We'll talk next week.
We'll try to get that music fixed next week. I'll have him go back and listen to you last year, and then we'll get it. Thank you.
That'd be great. Thank you, guys. Okay.
Yeah, pull a Max album last year, and
they blasted me for the time or something. I did something.
They said you wouldn't pick your. Wow, what they said. All right, let's get to break here. We want to thank Yellowwood pressure treated pine from Great Southern. Always remember, guys, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on Monday afternoon, starting at 2 p.m., we're going to recap the Alabama-South Florida game with all the Kalen DeBoer audio clips. We'll talk to Drew DeArmond. We'll talk to Barrett Salee. We'll talk to Martin Houston right here on The Game. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. It's starting to get a little heavier right now. Got some volume building on McFarland at the Lurleen Wallace intersection there. Also, construction zones, you may slow and go for a bit. And if you're traveling on 2059, a couple of spots on the eastbound lanes between Western Bypass, Joe Malisham, and McFarland. Also,
experience the wow factor. Contact Shoot Masonry and Specialties at 205-887-3807 today and unleash your home's full potential.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
Checking the first Sunday of the NFL regular season. Sunday night, the Lions get by the Rams 26-20 in overtime. Detroit tied it in the final seconds of regulation, won the coin toss in overtime, drove it right down the field, and scored to end the game. Cowboys give quarterback Dak Prescott a new contract before their game in Cleveland, 4 years, $240 million, then go beat the Browns 33-17. Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill was detained by police before their game against the Jaguars, cited for reckless driving. He did play in the game, scored a touchdown, and the Dolphins win it on a last-second field goal, 20-17 over Jacksonville. Steelers had Justin Fields at quarterback, didn't score a touchdown, but still beat the Falcons on the road 18-10. Texans get by the Colts 29-27. Bills outscore the Cardinals 34-28. Patriots upset the
800-709-6712. 800-709-6712. That's 800-709-6712.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to the second hour of Inside the Locker Room. Andrew Kniffer, he's my Allstate insurance agent. Let him become yours. He's out at Northport. I'm sorry, Andrew does absolutely. I'm trying to get Andrew's ad to pull up here. He's out in Northport. He will take great care of you. He does it for me. He can do the same for you. Are you looking for home, life, auto? He can take great care of it. 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Northport. Just give Andrew and the staff a call. They'll set you right up. 205-722-9201. Andrew Kniffer, Allstate Insurance. All right, get to the Andrew Kniffer hotline. We'll bring Tom into the show. Good morning, Tom.
Very good morning. Good morning, Coach. How are y'all?
We're good. How are you, buddy?
Very good.
I'm good. Thanks for asking. You know, my comments on the game, if you can bear with me, is if the SEC thinks that people pay $1 million for a suite, and fans go to the trouble all day long of coming to the game and sitting through the game to see a bunch of morons running around out there throwing flags. If they think that's what people come to the game for and that they watch games on TV and those – hold on there, Tom. And they wasn't fired after the game, I mean, what in the crap were we looking at? I didn't see but one holding call all night long.
It was awful. It was awful. Yeah, every official had two flags on them.
Yeah, I think they just look for things to call, and you're right. Like the one call where I think Milroe ran the touchdown, the guy fell on the ground, and the guy just kind of leaned down on, and they called a hold, and then the kid gets killed by the fans, this, that, and the other, and they're just looking. They're looking for things to call.
Tom, let me ask you something. Do you think there are times that an official goes – now, I've got to say this the right way if I won't get in trouble. That an official goes into the game. It's to call the game. He's always in his lifetime since he's a kid liked that team.
Yeah.
He's crazy about that coach. And when that thing is where it's either good or bad, he leaves it alone. He doesn't call anything bad against them, and he doesn't call anything good against them particularly, but he doesn't call anything when something needs to be called. Because he in his mind he's rooted for that team all his life. I've always felt that. Go ahead. No, that's enough.
No, go ahead. No, you're right.
I think they think they have to.
Didn't hear what y'all got to say.
Yeah, I think they just think they have to throw so many flags a game while they're not out there. I mean, like some of those holding calls that they called, honestly, like you're cheating when you call that holding. Like, unless they got the number wrong when they reported it, like there was no hold there. So I think that's way. Now, if it was close or something, then just go up to the kids, say, hey, just make sure you keep your hands to yourself there. Just kind of warn them. But they throw it. I mean, I watched that NFL game the other night, and they threw a flag on just about every play.
I'm not going to cheat, but my grandson loves that team.
Or here's one for you. That idiot that was the referee in that game the other night's got a house full of grandkids, and he wants to get on TV so those grandkids can see him. They started that about Tuesday. Granddaddy's going to be on TV. And that granddad said, you damn right I'm going to be on TV. Y'all be watching. I'm going to be on there a lot. And he come in with that hand on the flag so his grandkids can see him. That idiot ought to be run out of the conference.
Yeah, I agree with you. They were calling some things when they show the replay. Like I'm hoping that they got it right. And when you look at it, you're like, what? And
that's exactly right.
Now, if you were the coaches, now we understand social media, and you have sometimes local, because they're local kids. People just absolutely murder them for some reason. I don't understand why we do that. Would you call the kid in to say, look, you don't need to worry about nothing on the outside.
Absolutely.
We're here to help you. We're looking at film. These people on the outside don't know piss from Pepsi, so don't be worried about what they have to say. Hey, here you could have done this, and you coach them up, but you got to get them mentally right, and they can't listen to all this. That's why Nick Saban didn't have nothing to do with all this outside noise. I hope these kids don't listen to it.
Well, that's the reason when I was coaching on a lesser level, Tom, I might try to tell them something funny before the game started when they came over and shook hands with me. Well, Wimp's not as bad as he looks. That's what I was wanting them to think.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's amazing, but I want to say this. You had a youngster out there, Wilkin Formby, right, playing right tackle.
Yeah.
I think I said his name right.
You do.
And you are destroying because you missed so many calls on that kid. You got him on his heels all night long. He can't play. And if I was a coach, I'd bring him in there and we'd go through that tape and I'd go, you know what? That wasn't holding. I don't care what they say, that's not holding. And if we get to somebody that's got half a brain, they're not going to call holding on that play.
Yeah,
I feel
I do, but I think the outside people. What is it? It makes me, Tom. I'm gonna be honest with you now. I'm gonna make you mad. It makes me the way the fans treat these players sometimes. Get so personal with them. Now, I understand you're going to criticize sometimes. They get so. I almost want them to lose just so the fans will be mad. It makes me so mad. Like they just think that these other teams are so bad. I hear these people calling that they're going to beat South Florida 58-3. Like just totally.
And then when they're wrong, they want to kill everybody.
Now, a guy like Deion Sanders that talks all his trash, this, that, and the other, when you talk all your trash, then you open yourself up to be absolutely mauled in social media. And so he's opened himself up for it, and he criticizes the line, but won't criticize his son at all. So those things are kind of different there. But the way they treat these kids, it blows my mind.
What Barry's saying is true. Let me tell you what transpires in this. Is you put your last dollar on the line for Alabama. And Alabama's been winning the line when Nick Saban was the coach. I guess I never bet, but you got $25 to somebody that you have, and you didn't go on a date. That's the betting part of it that's where they go crazy.
I agree with you. That's the number one driver.
Because I got those bad letters about me when I was coaching. About not only did I get black white letters, I got betting letters.
Yeah, I agree. But Commissioner Sankey addressed that in an interview during media days, and he said that he was talking to a professional golfer who played an event in Europe or somewhere international, and he missed a putt on like 17 or 18, something like that. Anyway, it throwed him out of the position, and people had bet on him being a winner or finishing top 5 or something. They went so crazy, and they hammered him so bad on social media, and Mr. Sankey said, well, I tell you what, I never thought about that before, and it changed. They went back and they sat down and started formulating policy about gambling and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, it'd be interesting to talk to Mr. Garth about that next time he's on.
Yeah, I was thinking about having him on. Yeah.
I just think people, they sit around.
I would love to bring that subject up right there that Commissioner Sankey brought up about somebody doing something that costs somebody money in the gambling aspect. Yeah. And how they attack them on social media. He said that he was worried that kids, young people, would hear that or see that, and it would affect the way they played. Next time, maybe they didn't put out like they did because they had been hammered so bad by social media. And I thought, well, what a baby. No, not a baby. People listen. You can do things with your tongue and drive somebody into the ground. There's people kill themselves over that crap all the time.
Yeah, and you think that stuff helps recruiting? When you have kids, Alabama kids, and you absolutely maul them when they don't play well, they're like, screw that, I'm going. I'm out of here.
It doesn't help anybody. Doesn't help anything. But now those blame referees, I think somebody needs to do something about them.
I agree. I think they're terrible.
But here's the thing. People pay huge amounts of money. Their entertainment dollar is spent on going to the game, watching a game, paying for cable, paying for pay-per-view, whatever it may be. There's lots of money being spent, and these 5 jackasses are going to go out there and ruin the whole night for everybody. It don't matter which team it was. They run it for everybody.
Yeah. Good call, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. I don't think that'll be brought up enough. Thank you, sir. All right, we got to get to break here. We'll get to Doug Bell. We'll look at Doug's picks. How did Doug do over the weekend?
I can't say a word. I'm in bed with him.
So, you don't know. Doug might have gone 3-0. We'll find out.
No, he didn't. He got. I know he got beat.
Visit us at 3537 Skyland Boulevard East or online at BMWofTuscaloosa.com. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Crimson Tide Today is presented on Tide 100.9, WTBC 1230 by BMW of Tuscaloosa. Online at BMWofTuscaloosa.com.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports and it's brought to you by CB&S Bank. Bank anywhere, at any time with CB&S Bank's digital solutions. Managing your finances has never been so easy. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Alabama improved to 2-0 on the season with a 42-16 win against South Florida on Saturday. Here are some post-game thoughts from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Kalen DeBoer.
Obviously, going to the fourth quarter, 14-13 and, in a fight. And so, tip of the cap to USF for fighting. But, also, there's many things that we look at, that are things we got to definitely clean up. We talked down in the locker room about, learning the lessons, about the things that, didn't go right, but also understand if we just keep fighting, good things can happen. And in the fourth quarter,
I'll have more in a moment.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations. You could say we know a thing or two about tradition. We've been family, community, and financially strong since we began in 1906. Being a team player is part of our culture. That's why at CB&S Bank, we're proud to sponsor the University of Alabama Athletics and prouder to take the field or court with you. Visit cbsbank.com today. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Join us tonight for Crimson Tide Rewind, live from Baumhower's Victory Grill in Vestavia Hills at 6 p.m. Corey Reamer and I will take a look back at Alabama's win against South Florida and look ahead to what's coming up on Saturday against Wisconsin. You can listen to Crimson Tide Rewind on the radio network as well as the Varsity Network app. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by CB&S Bank. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Mr. SEC Tournament Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
Struggling this morning on our intro music. I think something's down our computer. Just play some Darius Rucker. I think we can get by with that because Corey will back us up on that. They try to get us on
John
that.
Prime.
John Prime. All right. Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com to find all the great deals there. You look at new inventory, the pre-owned inventory. You can schedule a service right there at the website. You want to rent a Toyota? You can do that at TuscaloosaToyota.com or swing by Skyland Boulevard. See David, see Justin. They'll set you right up. They got a big third annual Tuscaloosa Toyota Classic golf tournament going on out at Old College. Starts today, so get out there and support those young ladies out there as well. But TuscaloosaToyota.com or swing by Skyland Boulevard. All right, we get to the Tuscaloosa Toyota hotline. He's with PGA Tour Radio, CBS Sports. He's a handicapper on this show. We'll find out how he did on his games. Doug Bell. Good morning, Doug. How are you?
Hey, Doug.
Hey, guys. Good morning. That music you brought me in with. Wow.
Yeah, that's
kind of mellow.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
I'm in bed with you, Doug.
Poor Chase. He's back there. We're treating Chase like some of the Alabama fans were treating some of the players on Saturday night. Before we get to football, though, Doug, anything happening with Goff right now? Justin Thomas put out a pretty nice thing thanking everybody, but says he's got to get back to work. He's not going to be on the President Cup team. Just kind of what's going on in Goff right now.
Well, the fall season starts this week in Napa, California, and with all the football going on, and the fact that there won't be the big names, there's nobody in the top 30 who'll be playing this week in Napa, so it'll kind of go under the radar. But the fall season does start this week, and then in 2 weeks is the President's Cup guys in Montreal, Team USA versus the international team. And for the first time in a decade, Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas will not be on that team, and really didn't deserve to be on the team. And Jordan, by the way, had surgery on his wrist last week, so he'll be ready to go when 2025 starts. And Justin Thomas, by the way, he and his wife announced that they're expecting their first child. So that's nice, and that's exciting for them and that family. I know them really well, and I know you guys do too. So congrats to them. At the same time, and we talked about it on this show, guys, you know, when these great golfers, when their family dynamic changes, it takes away from their game. That's not a negative. That's just life. And so, again, JT hasn't won in 2.5 years, even though he finished in the top 30 this year. So it'll be interesting to see how his game continues in 2025 with the expectation and the arrival of a new baby. So we'll see what happens. But that's what's going on in golf, guys. The player of the year is going to be Scotty Scheffler. Rookie of the year is going to be Nick Dunlap. And that will be announced officially in Hawaii when the new season starts in 2025, January of 25. So that's the world of golf. As far as LIV and the PGA Tour, it appears from all reports that and LIV has already announced their schedule for 2025, and it's interesting for their tournaments. They've avoided going head-to-head with big tournaments on the PGA Tour, but in 2025, for their events, will go head-to-head with the biggest events on the PGA Tour, which includes the Players' Championship, the Arnold Palmer Invitational, and some other big events. So that's interesting. And to wrap it up, guys, as far as golf, out of the Tiger camp, apparently Tiger's heavily involved in the negotiations, isn't willing to give LIV anything, basically, from what I understand. Tiger's, hard line on this. And so I think the Tour and LIV will just continue through 2025 without any sort of mutual agreement.
Well, going head-to-head, you're going to lose players. It doesn't matter about the fans. The fans that we know are going to watch the PGA. But that'll be set. But you're going to lose some good players when they go head-to-head.
Yeah, I mean, I think what LIV is saying is, listen, we're here to stay. We're not scared of going head-to-head with the PGA Tour. They'll probably have some announcement in the off-season that they'll have some new television agreement because what they just had with the CW network has expired. That 2-year contract has gone away. And so we'll see what – and oh, by the way, the problem with that CW network as far as LIV, and we're kind of getting into the weeds here, but the ratings were so abysmal, nobody watched, and the majority of the local affiliates on the CW network nationwide did not carry the golf on the weekends. They carried whatever their regular programming was. So that created a problem as well. So, that's LIV continues to roll on, and you're right, Coach. They'll probably steal a player or two here in the off season, and we'll see what happens in 2025.
Have you seen this new facility that Alabama just opened, Doug? I've ridden through there. Then I saw a deal they did on social media showing what a facility that they have here for golf. That's pretty impressive there. Have you seen it? And either way, just your thoughts about what they've done there for Alabama golf.
Well, I think it's the best in the country. Yeah. Listen, I haven't seen them all, and I've talked to a lot of these college coaches, interviewed them, in years gone by on my podcast, et cetera, and on the PGA Tour radio network. And many of these programs, you know, they have great facilities, but I think Alabama now is a notch above. That practice facility is incredible. It really is. And obviously, even if the winter isn't awful in Alabama, but if it does get cold those days where, you know, it's sub-freezing temperatures, they have those huge hitting bays, and they have all the electronics, the video equipment. You know, they have different kind of green. You know, they have different grasses on the greens depending on what tournament they'll be playing at a particular time of year. So, again, Coach Sewell has done an incredible job, and I think the former players, Justin Thomas and others, are proud as well and have given back to the program, you know, financially, as well as the boosters. So, and it's the era, guys. It's not just football anymore or basketball. We're seeing it in other sports. And at Alabama, you see it with golf, you see it with softball. I mean, it's these facilities that young people have are really incredible compared to where they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30, 40 years ago. It's mind-boggling where they are. But good for the young athletes.
My name's gone off. What's his name? He used to play at Alabama. Was a great player. He just bought the facility over Mississippi.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. I can't think.
I can't think. Yeah.
Oh, what's his name?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know him real well.
His friends call him what?
What's his name? What's his name?
Come on, y'all. Tell me. Tom called in and tell me who I'm talking. He bought that big golf course over there. Oh.
Doug, you're supposed to know that.
I'm trying to do some research now as we talk.
Before we get to your picks and then your new picks,
yes.
Does it bother you that Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey they're up at the U.S. Open watching tennis? You know, so they had a game on Thursday night and they're up hanging out in New York. Is their mind on football? Would that bother you if you were the coach of the Chiefs?
Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, these modern day athletes, and they go private jets into the big city. They watch some tennis. They fly back. Gosh, Barry, and everything has changed. And
it has.
And that contract that Dak Prescott agreed to yesterday, just literally an hour before kickoff.
Yeah.
Where I think he's going to average more than $60 million a year. I think the 1 year he's going to get $80 million. It's crazy money, but and we've talked about it a lot. Coaches talked about it a lot. I mean, it all comes down to money, and the whole dynamic has changed. But to answer your question, no, it doesn't bother me. Those guys are superstars, and the NFL wants those guys, Mahomes and Kelsey, to go to New York and to be seen on TV at the big U.S. Open. It's just this incredible PR machine of the National Football League. And I will say, I watched every darn game. I watched the Thursday night game. I watched the Friday game. I watched games all day yesterday. I watched Tom Brady debut, and I thought he was fine. I mean, he is Tom Brady, but I mean, is he better than the other guys on TV? No. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You guys.
Well, you could see those games. Those games weren't on ESPN.
I know it. I just didn't think it's fun.
But
I thought Brady was good, but
I thought he was too. I thought he was very good. He wasn't dynamic, but I thought he told.
Well, he ought to be. Good. I mean, but what they're paying him, he ought to be good. I think he's making like $18 million, isn't he, Doug, a year?
Well, I think he's making more than that. From what I understand, he's making about $35 million a year. And he's the highest.
Exceptional.
Yeah, I mean, he's the highest paid sports broadcaster in history. And the reason being, Fox wanted to nail him down because they thought other networks were going to come after him. And they probably would have. But, I mean, again, and I watched the game last night with Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth. And Chris Collinsworth, I just think he's the best as far as analyst.
I agree. I think Mike Tirico goes everywhere and does a good job with how much he can remember. He's all over the world. He's terrific.
He really is. And Collinsworth last night, this one time when Jared Goff of the Lions, they had audio where he kept saying, kill, 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 and he was changing the play at the line of scrimmage. And Collinsworth explained that, right away. And I thought, my goodness, that was great intel. I mean, if you're a football fan, and he really explains it, knows the game. And I think he's the best. And I like Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. We'll hear them tonight. Looking forward to that game. So, again, this NFL machine, guys, I'm like millions and zillions of Americans. I'm caught up in the NFL, and I enjoy watching.
I'm not in the minority, but I miss
NFL.
I miss CBS and SEC football. Just something about CBS doing it. I even like Gary Danielson. I know people have it. I thought
it's funny. The Big Ten now, all the complaints are coming out about Gary doing Big Ten. He played at Purdue, for heaven's sake. He is a Big Ten guy.
Yeah, they're last in the league,
right? Yeah.
Is the worst contract in sports history the one Deshaun Watson got? He was terrible yesterday. He's got $230 million guaranteed.
All the charges he got.
They are stuck with him, Doug.
Well, they are stuck, and Brady. Brady is not. Brady has to watch what he says, by the way, because he wants to be a part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, and so he cannot come out and be negative about the league in any way. And I thought he kind of. He was walking on eggshells talking about Deshaun Watson because he kept saying, well, the Browns are hoping to get him back where he was with the Texans. Gosh, that was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think he's past his prime, and he's had a lot of injuries. Obviously, what happened off the field certainly didn't help. But to think what the Browns gave up, all those draft picks, and the Houston Texans have been the benefactor. Yeah, I watched that game yesterday, and my goodness, the Cowboys absolutely demolished the Browns.
Yeah,
First game, I get it.
Not good either. He's giving those scores. He needs to shave.
Yeah, he's letting his hair grow. That looks.
Yeah,
he
was at Jimmy Raines' thing. I got around him some. He and Jimmy got googie. It was terrible.
All right, Doug, we've stalled long enough. Let's go back to your picks from last week.
Don't stall. Yeah, all right. I'm fired up about this.
Yeah, well, yeah. I like your enthusiasm, Doug. All right, so Chase, get ready here. Let's give him a little. Get the computer. You ready for the sound effects? All right. So week 2, Auburn, you affected the line. You and Dan. It was 13.5. The thing went all the way down to 10.5. It didn't matter. California won. You said take Auburn minus the 13.5. That would be a loss. Go ahead.
That hurts.
Yeah. Maryland, against Michigan State. Maryland had an opportunity there. It was kind of tied, and Maryland got up. Maryland got up, got 7. I thought you were going to lose by a point. Then Michigan State tied it, and then it went to overtime. And then when it went to overtime, Michigan State beats Maryland outright, so that will be another loss.
Hey, 2 losses in a row.
Yeah, and then I was wrong. I talked so bad about South Carolina. I talked about the quarterback wearing goggles. I said they weren't any good. Kentucky, how bad did Southern miss? That's what I want to know. South Carolina, you said take the 10 against. They didn't need 10. They didn't need anything. They blew Kentucky out, so that was a victory for Doug there. So bring it up there. Yeah. So that runs the current record to 2-4 for the season.
Not a problem.
2-4.
Not a problem.
So if you go 3-0 this week, then you'll be over the 500 mark.
Well, I need a good talk. I need to listen to him real close.
Dad is not picking on you anymore because he lost his exhibition game and he lost his next 2.
I've lost everything I got but my drawers.
I know.
He is. And here's the problem, Doug. He usually picks his games on Thursday. Now he's wanting to wait till Friday. He says the line changes. Like the line changes does not matter. You pick the game, you get the line where it's at.
Ready on Thursday.
He's overthinking it right now, Doug. Kind of like you do. But where are we going this week? Where are we going this week, Doug?
Well, again, I'm excited because that South Carolina pick, and you guys were down on that pick, and that was a big win. I was celebrating that win. Obviously, it saved the weekend. But here's where I'm going, guys. Colorado in prime time at Colorado State. And Barry, I got it. I got Colorado State -7. Is that what you got?
I have to look. Let me look here. I did see that.
Colorado gets 7 points.
No. Colorado's favored. Right? Colorado.
Colorado State.
Huh?
Colorado State's favored at home.
Colorado State, he said, Barry.
Yeah, but Colorado State's favored. Are they?
Yeah, they're favored. They're favored by 7. Yeah. Did you guys watch any of the Colorado-Nebraska game?
No, I was lucky.
That wasn't a game, Doug.
Colorado could not run the football, and that offensive line really serious problems. And Shedeur Sanders, he left the field before the game was over.
Before you go, Colorado is a 7.5-point favorite right now.
Colorado State.
Well,
no, Colorado is a 7.5-point favorite at Colorado State. Colorado State got murdered in their first game by Texas. I guess they won this weekend. But
Colorado State, guys, I'm telling you, big rivalry game. In fact, for those of us who live in the southeastern part of the United States, we don't. That is a huge rivalry, by the way. It's nasty. And a year ago, remember the game? It was late on a Saturday night. I stayed up and watched, and Travis Hunter got the late hit. The kid from Colorado State.
What's that have to do with anything?
It's nasty.
I'm telling you, Colorado State is fired up. The Colorado State is
seven. They get seven.
No,
Colorado
they get
State.
7.5.
Take Colorado State.
7.5. Colorado. Who'd you take?
He's taking Colorado State.
Congratulations.
Colorado is. I mean, it's going to be the shine has come off prime. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
And I mean, after last year, this could be a season worse than a year ago at Colorado. These are supposed to be easy games for Colorado before the schedule gets hard. Take Colorado State, I'm telling you.
All right,
big win there.
He's getting plus. He's taking Colorado State, getting 7.5. They're not game, guys. Is on CBS. Wow, CBS. It's 6:30.
So smart.
Yeah. All right.
Well, all right. Now we're moving on. SEC, Missouri. They're wrapping up their non-conference. BC, Boston College. We saw them kind of hammer
16.5.
Florida State. Yeah. BC. I'm telling you, BC can run that football, and they're going to run it, and they're going to run it. And this is going to be a hard game for Mizzou. Top 10, I know, and that all stems from last season.
Well,
and they kind of BC, Bill O'Brien.
Here's the line, Doug. Here's the good thing. You're getting 16.5 if you take it today.
Yeah.
16.5.
I'm telling you, I'm taking it today. Take it to the bank, as they say.
I think I like that too.
So take, oh God, you guys are thinking alike. Take Boston College plus 16.5. All right.
Yeah. All right. And lastly, guys, I'm not going to say it's a lock because I know Barry hates it when I say that. But this is about as sure as you can get. UTEP. Now, Scotty Walden is their new coach, one of these young, fiery, jump on the sidelines kind of guy. Came from Austin Peay. They got hammered by Nebraska in the opener. Last week, 42,000 show up at UTEP. That's the Sun Bowl where they play.
What league is UTEP in? What league is UTEP in?
CUSA.
Okay.
And they got beat at home, 42,000, biggest home crowd they've had in several years. Southern Utah beats them 42-0 at home.
Southern Utah beat them?
What I'm saying is UTEP could be the worst Division I college football program. They are at Liberty.
23.
Liberty is
23. 23 is a line.
Yes.
I like
that. And Liberty, by the way, even after Coach Freeze leaves for Auburn, they continue, that hire Coach Chadwell from Coastal Carolina, Jamie Chadwell, and he's done a great job. I mean, they just keep winning, rolling up big. They're 2-0. They will cover the line at home. They will blow out UTEP. UTEP coming off an awful game at home.
Well, those big score games, I won both times. Tennessee and I picked Louisville to beat Jacksonville State.
I know. Well, I wish I'd picked Ohio State last week, and I wish I'd picked Tennessee. They were two of my picks. I was thinking about
the phone.
Y'all were thinking a lot. He just said he liked all three of your picks, Doug.
Hey,
Doug,
I didn't get to see the game because I got DirecTV. My grandson got me the Alabama game. How did Auburn throw us in the well?
Well, Auburn's offensive line, they sacked Peyton Thorne, the quarterback, 5 times, but he was under duress the whole game, and they couldn't run the football. The offensive line, which is big now, they all average over 315 pounds.
He threw 4 picks.
I'm telling you,
he threw 4 picks.
Auburn struggled. They couldn't run the football. And Cal, the first half, the quarterback for California, who transferred from Miami, by the way, I think he was in the first half. I think he was 19 out of 20. He only missed 1 pass. And that was enough to get him the lead that they never gave up. Auburn. was stuck in the mud.
Is Hugh Freeze, but they're married to each other right now. He can't make a change right now, can he?
No, and that came, it was interesting because Coach Saban on game day, as they went through the panel there.
They're always going to win.
Yeah, Coach Saban's predictions are bad.
Well, he at the beginning of the show, he said, listen, Alabama fans won't like it, but Coach Freeze has really good players, his players in there. He's back calling the plays. Look for Auburn to win big this season. And, of course, they lose to Cal at home on Saturday. So.
Yeah, Coach's predictions are not good. He does a great job on his predictions.
They got Arkansas and Oklahoma coming for what's over.
Yeah. I mean, I tell you, though, guys, listen, Colorado State, BC, and Liberty, I'm going to be back on the plus side next Monday when I talk to you guys. I'm that confident.
You're taking points on 2 of the 3. That's different for you too. Dad's never done that. He's never taken points.
I know. In years past, Barry, you've always told me that. And finally, it's funny when I was going through this last night. And listen, this is serious business. Yeah. Listen, I've been known to copy. What the heck, right?
Yeah. Well, Doug, I'm pulling for you. I want you to go 3-0 so we can have a party next Monday.
He does not, Doug. He does not want you. He wants you to lose every game, Doug.
Doug, do you understand the abuse I get when he misses the blue plate? My phone absolutely blows up, and it has been bad. I've had a bad 3 weeks.
I don't know who to pick.
Yeah. He's
I'm telling you. All weekend, I got 4 more days. I'm not giving Monday, Friday.
No, you got to give it Thursday.
Thursday, I can't give it Thursday.
Yeah, your Friday's thing's not working. Go back to the way you used to do it.
I'm going Friday.
No, go back to the way you used to.
Thanks.
Doug, great stuff. Tell everybody about MD Wellness and Aesthetics before you get out.
Absolutely. Susan Brignett is the owner, MD Wellness and Aesthetics, mdwellnessaesthetics.com, and you can give her a call at 205-582-9216. It's 650 Inverness Corners in Birmingham. She's a big football fan, loves the show, by the way, listens every Monday. She's there today. They open at 10 a.m., and it's a free consultation. And, guys, skin care, hair care, weight loss, laser treatments, Botox, the filler, the whole 9 yards. And I've always said it, guys, it's not just for the ladies. It's for the men, too. MD Wellness and Aesthetics.
I'm pulling for you, Doug.
He ain't pulling
See you
for
next
you,
week.
Doug. He is not pulling for you.
3-0.
Thank you, Doug.
3-0. 3-0.
Thank you, Doug. All right, let's tell them about Bryant Bank before we get to break.
Well, you can be assured that this is the right place to go. 4 banks in Birmingham, 5 banks in Birmingham, I guess, and 4 in Tuscaloosa and Columbiana. Wherever you find a Bryant Bank, you find people who are going to take care of you, treat you right, help you with your money, give you an opportunity to bank online around the clock. Be darn sure that your money is invested in there, whether it be business, a home account, that is well taken care of. Nobody's going to come in and try to do anything with it. They're going to reach it. They're going to meet you at the door and do everything they possibly can to make you sure that you're very comfortable in the atmosphere at Bryant Bank. So I would recommend that all of you who are looking to go to a bank, or if you got one now, change over to Bryant Bank. And I think that you're going to say, boy, that's the best thing I've ever done. My money's safe. I can get in and out of that, drive through very quickly and be through, not in that bad traffic, or I can walk in and one of these ladies there will help me. So go to Bryant Bank, tell me you heard on Inside the Locker Room, and do so for Barry and I.
We appreciate Bryant Bank and all they do for Inside the Locker Room. All right, we take a break. Got Cowboy holding. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. These roadways are pretty smooth. You're moving with a purpose all along, even on or inside the construction zone. So 2059, you got double road work. First on the eastbound lanes between Joe Malisham and McFarland Boulevard. And also on the eastbound lane, still on 2059, we're talking here.
When you call, you'll actually talk to me. 205-800-8000. I've got this.
No representations made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A big warm up today with a sunny sky, the high 88. Clear tonight, the low 64. Tomorrow sunny with a high at 89. Wednesday increasingly cloudy, rain moving in by Wednesday night, the high Wednesday at 84. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
For more from Tide 100.9, let it fly! There's it. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and SoundCloud.
Inside the Locker Room. I get right up here to the Yellowwood Hotline. We'll bring Cowboy into the show. Good morning, Cowboy.
Hey, Cowboy.
Good morning, Barry and Coach. Hey, Coach, have you ever been called stubborn before?
Stubborn? Yeah.
You were kind of stubborn on that old boy trying to give you that Tulane pick the other day.
Oh, yeah. And that Tulane pick hit. Coach,
you ought to apologize to that guy.
Oh, he looked.
Thank you, Abe. Abe gave you Tulane.
Barry
and
called
Tulane
you and told you
cover.
to say that. Barry got on me about it.
I don't even have Cowboys
Barry
now.
called behind the scenes.
I texted him and said you should have listened to Abe. Abe called, and he talked bad to Abe, didn't he, Cowboy?
He did. I mean, I thought the guy had some validity.
Abe don't know where he is.
Abe,
never studying it.
Stand up, Abe, where you are and take a bow.
Shot Abe down when I was a kid. When Howard got in a zone defense, Coach. He shot him down, man.
Yeah. Abe was just trying to help. Abe gave him a winner.
Thank you, Abe.
Y'all call Abe and give him a free taco casa sponsored by William Formby.
Wilkin, not William. Wilkin for me.
Oh, Lord, that was awesome.
You're trying to stir up trouble.
Good call, Cowboy. Good call.
That wasn't a good call, Cowboy. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach.
Cowboy, you got to pick.
You got a blue plate for me this week, Cowboy?
For him, Cowboy, this week.
What do you got?
What you got?
I hadn't studied it yet.
Well, you better start studying and call back. I can do it Friday.
No, you're doing it Thursday.
I can't do it Thursday.
I know.
I'll tell you off the air.
I know you're going to try to get me back now is what you're going to do. I'm going to have to really study me a good one here.
We're taking all
I tell you what might be good. I don't know what the line is but LSU at South Carolina. So people
who do you think? I won't give you a guess. Who do you think gets the points there?
Oh, it's going to be about even kind of.
Okay, but it ain't
3 or 4 LSU. Right?
They get the points.
LSU's favored by 7.5.
Oh, LSU by 7.5.
Yeah.
And South Carolina's playing at home. South Carolina can't lose at home, can
they? The game's at noon in Columbia, 11 o'clock.
I'm going to go with LSU. I'm going to go with LSU on that one. LSU.
Yeah.
LSU.
Why?
Yes, sir. They're a better football team. Kentucky's god-awful.
Perhaps they got beat by Southern Cal.
Where's Kentucky? Because South Carolina beat Kentucky. Well, how bad is Southern Miss then?
That's what I would take.
Southern Miss must be awful. Kentucky beat them 31-0 in 3 quarters.
You can't compare scores and bet.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
If it looks weird, go opposite of what you think.
Yeah. Y'all go back on your caller IDs and y'all call Abe and get him to call in.
We ain't calling no call. He gets one right.
Abe, stand up and bow.
I ain't doing it till Friday, Barry.
That's silly. You're going to lose again, Cowboy.
Hey, I thought another probably good bet was that Tulane coach that went to Houston gave Oklahoma a heck up there in Norman a few years ago.
Yeah, line's 13.5.
Yeah.
Who?
Tulane's 13. You get 13.5 at Oklahoma.
That ain't enough.
No. What I said was last week in that Oklahoma-Houston game was the former coach at Tulane is at Houston this year. It's his first year. And when he was at Tulane a couple years ago, they played Oklahoma up there and gave them a fit.
Yeah, Houston.
That's 2 years ago. What does that have to do with anything?
Houston, UNLV didn't think
what
much
I'm trying
Houston.
to say, Coach, is the Houston coach schematically knows how to attack Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. But
they only lost
it's players. It's players playing well.
Yeah. All right,
players
Cowboy,
playing well.
We got to get out. Thank you, sir.
All right, y'all be good.
All right, we've screwed our brakes all up. So, Chase, I'm going to let you just double these brakes on the back end so that way Gary can get in on time and Gary can talk about his picks over the weekend. Games are hard to pick over the weekend. I crushed South Carolina, and South Carolina went in there and crushed Kentucky. So, I crushed them. I thought South Carolina looked terrible against Old Dominion. And
he made fun of the goggles.
Yeah, I made fun of the guy with his goggles. I went against all my rules, but I did say in summer I thought Texas would be in Atlanta, and they didn't do anything to make me not think that.
Kudos hangs
and
up.
I said Peyton Thorne. They should have gone to the portal.
Bye.
So, bye. All right, that's it for today's show. We'll get out of here and make way for the Gary Harris Show. Coach will be finishing up practice here in a few minutes, and he'll have his weekly press conference. We'll hear what Coach had to say tomorrow. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama Sports. Have a great day, everybody.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on Monday afternoon, starting at 2 p.m., we're going to recap the Alabama-South Florida game with all the Kalen DeBoer audio clips. We'll talk to Drew DeArmond. We'll talk to Barrett Salee. We'll talk to Martin Houston right here on The Game. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. These roadways are pretty smooth. You're moving with a purpose all along, even on or inside the construction zone. So 2059, you got double road work. First on the eastbound lanes between Joe Malisham and McFarland Boulevard. And also on the eastbound lane, still on 2059, we're talking here, between